We'll see. Hello, hello, and welcome. We're here with Shubra, who's got a beautiful picture there that was taken during a 3-day Access 3-day body class in Bangalore when I was talking to her. Someone took that picture, so she's talking to us, and with the amazing, lovely, beautiful, spacious, just dynamically different, double D, dynamically different. Uh, Kayla Leung. Hello, Kayla.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, Kass.
I hear
Really happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. I hear you're in Hong Kong at the moment.
Yeah. Well, especially when we're talking about definitely or dynamically different, it's like this whole, situation I don't know if you guys have read the news, but there has been so much press coverage on people talking about, oh yeah, like, Hong Kong is no longer it's no longer a free place, and then Trump is taking its like economic privileges away and stuff like that. It's so related to like what's going on currently around the world, with everyone stepping up to be the difference they be without being weighed down by anything or anyone anymore.
Yes, absolutely. And what contribution can we be to that? So you, one of the things I know about you, Miss Kayla, is that you have a vision so large. You
Oh,
know, I know it's really it's such a unique energy. I know we all have unique energy, but there's something you're this is what I know about you. You're so fast. It's like a speed vision almost.
oh.
So right. So I might ask you, just because not all of us are all we all probably have the possibility for that. However, we're not always functioning from that. So can
Well, if you recognize it, that means you have it
I know,
too.
I know. But I
Okay.
would like to ask you, when you
Yeah.
say Trump was whatever you said about that
Yeah.
with Hong Kong, how
Yeah.
is that? Is Hong Kong stepping up? Is that what you're saying?
It is. It's very interesting because even like whatever you guys are reading from the news, it's not true. Like, with the situation, because currently they say that, the world is, well, at least the Chinese speaking countries are going to a havoc right now because of whatever that's going on in Beijing. And they say that it's in complete lockdown, which is not true. Okay. And also with all the things of political sort of stuff that are going on in Hong Kong, and then people are saying that, oh yeah, Hong Kong people are like, they have what, they're not safe anymore, and if you go out, you guys want to go to like, say UK or US as refugees, okay, they're totally welcome. And then we're like, what the hell are you guys talking about, but it's all a game. Like, what we really have to be aware of here is that, this is really the time that we need to utilize our awareness to really know what is real and what isn't, because we have to ask questions to get a clarity of what's going on, because there are just too many lies out there, and then we just have to like kind of sift through all of that, and not to, well, we don't need to sift through, sorry, let me just take it back, but it's like just to use your awareness to kind of perceive what is true, because it's not the time to believe in media anymore. And also with whatever that's going on in the United States, with everything that happened with I
After
would say
George
the Black,
Floyd, yeah, Black
yeah,
Lives Matter, George
Matter
Floyd,
movement.
yeah,
Yeah.
huge movement, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And it's very interesting because how I look at it is too, um because we know what happened, and then everyone like around the world, there were protests about it. And it's like, what about like people say in like Asian people, okay, like, people call it yellow, I don't care, okay, but it's fair, because the thing is, okay, people actually like do need to step up in order to create a change. And this is what is dispersing all the webs of lies that all the politicians, okay, politicians especially, have been feeding us for, I don't know, for like basically eras and
Yeah,
centuries and ages. Yes.
yeah. In fact, I used to work in politics, and
Mm, I
um,
didn't know that.
yeah, and also my grandmother was involved in politics. My brother was running for governor of
Yeah.
Connecticut, and my sister involved in local stuff. And what I got
Yeah.
is that politics is not about change. It's
No.
about maintaining, a distance, and often about, divide and conquer. And that's
Yes.
an antique Roman. I live in Rome, right? But from the
Yeah.
States, and an antique Roman expression also, because it's
Mm.
easier to control people. And I love
Yeah.
that what you're saying about the filter.
Sifting through this stuff. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because what came to me are filters, and usually I got the energy of what you meant by it,
Mm.
filtering the lies from the truth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But usually what we do is filter the truth
Yeah,
through
exactly.
the lies
Exactly.
that we have been, implanted with. So it's actually, yeah, right. So that through
Well,
the
people were,
through the implant that we have, or through the positions that we have accumulated,
yeah.
which is showing up so much. So what if we got rid of those old filters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
And
actually
people
allowed
were,
ourselves to perceive the truth. Yeah,
yes. And what you actually said just like, brought up something. It's like people are more interested in defending the lies because that's what they're comfortable with. Because this is what they think is real and true for ages. And it's the structure that keeps all of that in place. So without the structure, that means they need to change. And they're so unwilling to change, right? Because it takes a lot of courage for them. And they have to go into like this I would say a lot of discomfort because they no longer have the safety net. And then it's like, so they would rather like, live in the comfort of the lies than choosing to go for what is real and true.
absolutely. And the structure is like, if you tell me what to do, then I know what to do, or I
Yeah.
know what not to do, because I'm either going along with the structure
Mm.
or I'm going against the structure. But at least
Yeah.
I have, right, the
A structure to follow.
exactly. In order to break the law, you got to know the law. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So either you go with the
exactly.
law or you go with the contract. Either to break the contract, you got to know what the contract is, but you're still
Yeah.
working on that. And it's not comfortable. That's what it is. It's not
Yeah.
comfortable to not have an answer,
Yeah.
um, and to see the road already laid out for you,
Mm.
but for you to pave your own road based on what paths are opening up for you, your destination. Anyway, I hope that's making sense. Hi, Shubra, you're here, you're there. You better talk now, because we don't know if you're if you're in again from India.
Kayla
Shubra.
was saying I didn't want to join from the phone, and finally I have to join from the phone because the electricity went off. But anyways, I'm still connected, so that's great. So it was very interesting to hear the conversation. But yeah, you were talking about the ingrained points of view we have from which we have been operating, and what if now it's time to change that and go beyond that. And unless we are willing to have that this is enough, we'll never change it. I so yeah please carry on with the interesting conversation you were just
Ingrained
having
points of
here.
view.
Yeah.
Okay, so uh anyway, I just love Kayla. So, what I want to say is,
Oh,
she's a
thank you.
multi success woman, or a
Oh,
multitasker, or a multi being. All those things, right? Um, uh, you know, from original. Where were you? Your parents are from Hong Kong, so you were born in Hong
they're
Kong.
from Hong Kong, but I was born and raised in Canada. But
Okay,
then you knew me, okay? Well, we met in Rome. Then I was living in the States for a very long time when we met.
right. And
Had been living in the States, yeah.
we've been in different countries together, and we went to China together. To
Exactly.
Awesome.
Wow. Right now it's off, we can't go there anymore because they're not allowing anyone to go in and out, sort of.
Right. And it's so funny, I mean, funny. It's very
Yeah.
curious to me that the COVID-19,
Yeah. Yeah.
two main countries that had all the, let's say, the judgment about COVID
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
China and Italy.
Yeah.
Yes, where we go, right? And where we have lived, but not,
And
and
also the States, because you are from the States, and then I live in the States for so many years. It's like these three places how they look at it is like China, Italy, and also we have the US right now, because like right now it's basically the whole world is going, okay, you're either team US or you're team China. There's nothing in between.
Except Italy, which is basically probably
Yeah,
halfway in between.
exactly.
The time difference anyway. And so just in terms of well, we know that, you know, when I went to high school, I went to a Boston Latin High, and I think I've told you this before, and it was
Boston Latin High.
Boston Latin High School, right? So it's
Wow.
like the Roman, the symbol of the wolf with the two babies feeding off of it was our logo.
Wow.
Also, and we learned Latin, so and
Yeah.
we had to study Latin. It was and there were it's the oldest public high school in the U.S.
Hmm.
1635 is the year it
Mm.
was found, and it's an examination high school. So what you have in there are rich people, but they're not through their bank accounts, right? Necessarily, unless it's their parents were people who were supporting public education. So the
Mm.
rich minds of people. So 30 maybe so you enter in one year, and then no one else can enter. You go through the years, lots of homework and stuff. However, there was like 30 black kids and 30
Mm.
Chinese kids in
Mm.
my graduating class, right? And I was an honorary member of the Chinese society in the school, because we were the ones that were doing the computers. They were huge at the time. I won't go into the age. So anyway, so Chinese has always sort of been a part of my life, and we were the minorities. You know, I don't know if what ages or what in Canada how it was and how it was seen, or in the U.S. But the people do have these sort of stereotypes also
Yeah.
on Chinese, and I don't know if you
They
lived
have
experience.
stereotypes, yes, and they have, what we call, so like, social stratifications. Because it's like, even with, I think you overheard the conversation, I was going to move to London actually this year, and then it's obvious with COVID and everything. And then what a lot of people don't know is that there are so many hate crimes against Asians, especially Chinese people, in the UK right now. They're not reported, but they're just like all, like local gangs, like for example, burning up, Chinese restaurants, and then breaking the windows of like Chinese stores or stuff like that. So it's like what I'm actually grateful for with these times is that, all the deep-seated stuff are just coming out. There's no more way of sugarcoating it. And the whole sugarcoating thing, or we're trying to, or I would say the facade to make peace, like people just don't even care about maintaining that facade anymore. The pretense is gone.
Exactly. Well, and what a gift is this that people film everything now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even with the United States, with the George Floyd, that
Yeah.
was one of the reasons I got out of politics
Yeah.
also, because there were so many young black boys
Yeah.
being killed with no reason, with
Yeah.
no, I mean, killing is so interesting that we feel the privilege to take away people's lives, so that to be able to do that. But and so in the same way, like, this is coming out. Let's not cover this up. Let's not pretend. Let's not put the
Yeah. It
facade
doesn't
on.
happen.
Let's
Yeah.
pull it out so that we can actually look at it, not get stuck on it,
Address it,
address it.
and like, yes, address it and change it.
Exactly. And I know you, the articulation of this is awesome. So what's the difference between just moving fast forward and actually living in this moment? In what way can we live in this moment and contribute to really a forward movement that is not still tied down by these chains?
Yeah. And well, this is precisely the question, like, what what forward movements can we be, right, to change all the structures, okay, and just contribute to the actualization of a new world of possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. I always just want to tear when I talk to you because I so love you. Who is it that gets so lucky to spend time with you?
Oh, I feel the
Yeah.
same.
And so one of the things, one of the stereotypes I got to tell you, and I don't know if you know this, one of the stereotypes in the States about Chinese
Yeah.
is that they're smart.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, is that they're smart. They have a high level of intelligence, and how much is that something that people are afraid of and
Yeah.
resisting in an interesting way? Yeah.
Well, in a sense too, sorry, I is this boring you, Shura?
Oh no! Look at her face.
Okay. It's, to in my point of view, okay? Like, why is Trump doing all of these things, right, to China is because this is basically a threat, like obviously people won't take any action to people who are not a threat to them, but when they become a threat they will try everything to suppress it so they don't take over their position.
What is the threat?
The threat is, like, on an economic level they're just afraid that they're getting richer, because I don't know if you guys know this, but China has the most government, like, holds, okay, the most amount of bonds, okay, US bonds, US government bonds, which means like US owes China a lot of money. And then China actually, I don't know if this is exactly true, but they're rumored, okay, to hold even more gold than the United States. And
Gold.
gold, the reason why gold standard, okay, US dollar is called a gold standard because US is now currently the dollar is the currency to buy gold, right? This is where all the gold prices are based at. So, there are just so many things that are going on. And Chinese people, one of their attributes, okay, is they will hold on to something. They have the patience, all right, they have the patience and the endurance to hold on something and wait till the right moment to strike. So I
That's
think that's also, yeah.
That's probably where that expression comes from. To be the China man sitting on the side of the river, because sooner or later everything will come by you. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, it's like they just wait. They can wait, but it's not the kind of blind faith waiting, like they just have blind faith for something that will come. But no, they will do everything they can, but they will patiently wait till everything comes right to you. So that will be the right moment to, like,
Exactly.
do
We use
whatever.
the expression "what goes around comes around," right?
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
it. Yeah. And that's interesting because it's a difference actually, not just with China, but with American culture. I noticed that when you come here, it's something as simple as in America, we call someone up on the phone and immediately get to the point of the call. Hey, I was just wondering if you'd like to do this negotiation or this thing with me. In Italy, hi, how are you? How's it
Yeah.
going? How have you been? You know what I mean? So maybe the more we go east, the more from the
The
US,
more
yeah,
subtle and indirect, maybe.
yeah, it's like it's more full. So you notice the difference in relationship. And I remember this woman, this African American woman. She was actually married to an Italian, famous Italian, but I met her here, and she said to me after a couple of years, she was, it wasn't necessary. I didn't receive it as a kindness necessarily at the time. She said, "Oh, go! Thank goodness you've been here so long and you're adapting more to Italian style because when you came, you were so New York."
I know what being so New York is.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, straight to the point, okay? Just
Yeah,
tell me whether it's gonna work or not, okay? Otherwise, just don't even waste my time.
yeah, exactly. So, and I'm wondering, there's a different. Is there this sort of segregation or levels? What did you call it? Social stratification.
Hmm.
China? Do you know? or amongst
Yeah.
Chinese people, because Chinese people are just in China, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I do notice a difference because obviously you know that I'm like pretty much westernized. So when when I actually try to operate and do business here, it's like, okay, they do a little bit of social kudos, and then they like to do they actually say things that are rather cryptic. So you just have to try to decipher what they're trying to mean. It's like, the yes doesn't necessarily mean a yes. A no, it's not really a no. Let me think about this. It's probably a no. Okay.
It's a
And then,
it's a
yeah,
kind it's a I mean it's a kindness. That's my first action, but
yeah,
it's also like a veil, like right in the
yeah,
seven steps, go beyond the veil. And do you know when I went to China with you, and
yeah,
I stayed in Beijing for a few more days? That
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
when I know it's 2015. Then I know when it is now. That is when I got an awareness of step four, go beyond the veil. I got clarity
Mm.
about it thanks to China, right? And so, what is that exactly? That veil? That is it? Kindness? Is it respect? Is it politeness? What, or is it not
It's a
willing to
culture.
say no?
It's I think it's like basically you just said it, like it's a combination of everything you said. It's like a politeness, it's like respect, it's a little bit of that, cultural aspect of how to do things, while also it's people don't want to appear to be too aggressive, right? Because when you're too aggressive, they just think that they just have to like sort of guard against you, if you know what I mean, because they're just really against any sort of aggression, even with what the US government is saying to them. It's like, okay, you guys, passing through this whatever law, we're going to do we're going to punish, that's exactly the words, we're going to punish, the officials who support it. And then China just came back with, you know what, we're not going to allow anyone to like meddle with our internal affairs. That's all. But if it's America, they're going to say, you shouldn't be doing this. Like it's a different way of operating. There's no the right way or the wrong way, but it's just their way of doing things.
Right. I wanted to ask something, but about when you talked about the stock market, like the stocks and the because I
Yeah,
did hear that once everyone took out any investments they had in China, then
yeah.
actually China was able to reclaim all of their economic resources and be in charge of that. So that's quite interesting. But this thing about not being too aggressive and not being so clear in your response,
Mm-hmm.
this is awareness I got, Shubra, about India. When I went to India, and I grew up with an Indian doctor, my pediatric doctor, but he was also in business, Dr. Shahabuddin, with my mom. So from a kid, he was my doctor. Then I actually they went into private practice together and we worked together. I was their manager though, my last year in high school for their private doctor's office. I never saw him do this. So only got that when I went to India. And I was like, what does that mean? It's like when the people say yes in India, yeah. I'm like,
Indian way of
is
saying
that
yes.
yes or is that no? Yeah.
No, like this.
This also this. And I got an awareness, and I may be wrong here, that with such British government control, that you couldn't say that, just like what we're saying about China, you didn't want to say no. You know what I mean? You want to just be, sort of somewhere in between, so that you're not judged as wrong or right, right? What is that, Shuba?
That's exactly how it is. That there are many times you want to say no, but you really don't know how to say no. So you get stuck in between. Yeah, Dane always used to get confused. Is it, yes, Indian way of saying yes, and then he got it. Like that's very true. That you just don't want to come across as very rude and say like and impolite, saying that no, you don't want to do that thing. So and there are a lot of times you will hear a yes, but the work will not be done. So they can't say no at the end. but work will still not be done.
And we need to
So
do a training with Kayla to decipher which yes is yes and which yes is and which no is no and which no is yes. So maybe we can figure that out. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shubhra. Go ahead.
no. So yeah, I can totally relate to what she was also saying. But having said that, what I would say is internally they're very clear what they want. They may be just saying on the outside, that's the outside mannerism. What I get is that internally they know that they're not going to do it. It's just not putting, they're not putting it across. Like they're not very clear about it. And it's the, ages of mm, uh, living the way they were under some governance and, trying to be polite and yet trying to,
Cultural
yeah,
entrainment.
trying to express what they really feel right. They're still in between. So yes, the things are changing, and now the generation is pretty much more forthright about what they require. But one of the things I see is because we have lived in a joint family, and where the relations are, that you have to respect your elders. It doesn't come very naturally to us that you have to just outrightly say no. It's considered rude in our culture, and as the kids move to the metros and all, they get more kind of clarity how to express themselves. And probably this generation requires to know where to disagree and yet not be disrespectful. So it's like that. So in trying to not be disrespectful, they try not to disagree, and that's how that confused nod comes. But things are changing. I think that they are kind of gathering a courage to say no to no and yes to yes, whatever is required. I mean, I can take myself, forget about everything else. That it was difficult for me to say no. I mean, lest the other person feels hurt, lest the other, it comes across as very impolite. But now things are changing, and yeah, I don't think I'm not very sure in this lifetime I'll still be like pretty blunt about things. But yeah, it's changing at least to that extent that it works for me, and I don't make things meaningless which are actually meaningful, and the other way around. So yeah, I think it's more to do with the culture per se, that and the bonding which we have grown with. There are many families still staying in in a joint kind of setup, and that I see in towards Italy also, for example. One of the things where the COVID pandemic actually brought so much morbidity and mortality was that there was a lot of interpersonal relations with the grandparents, and the and that mixing happened. And by the time the world realized, it had already taken its toll, because it's a natural thing to have warm relations, which I see somewhat lacking in the West, in US and all, where it's pretty straightforward. Your relations are pretty straightforward. It's not that warmth kind of thing. I mean, this may be my interesting point of view, but that's what I see. And so it's more of a cultural entrainment also that has led to this kind of an expression of your thoughts and your uh, desires. So that's what I think it is.
I'm curious if there is some, I mean, we can always blame it, quote unquote, on the Brits, right? But is, I don't see people when I'm in a cab or even in one of those carts riding around having problems saying no to people who are asking money on the street. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if the ism, the prison of the ism, right, is if you only are not willing to say that to someone who's in a different class level or the same, but if they're in a lower class level, you have no problem with that. What is that like with?
So there are two aspects to it. If you go to certain parts of India where, especially, you will find a lot of people asking for alms in front of temples and all. And temples you will find everywhere in India. I mean, under a tree, every 100 meters, there will be something built. So after a while of, giving alms, you certainly become more pragmatic and practical in your approach, and you learn how to say no, because so many times in a day somebody would come up, a very different person, that it'll be difficult for you to keep saying yes. So that is one aspect. And the second aspect is also true. Under the British rule, you were always saying yes to the authority above you, and you could easily disregard somebody who was under you. So your subordinates were not treated the way your seniors were treated. And that is kind of changing now. That is kind of changing now, because, it's like people are starting to look at that. How do you treat somebody who is at a lower level than you? If you're not treating a waiter, for example, or somebody who's a cab driver, somebody like that way, that means still you need to learn a lot of etiquettes and manners. I mean, people have started to look, at least, this is how I judge kind of people, that whether they're nice or not nice, kind of thing. One of the places where we do see this thing still preserved is the army. I mean, where they are trained in a certain way, but then they are disciplined in a certain way to, the juniors are disciplined to listen to the seniors, but somehow uh, people who hold very high ranks uh, have been carrying on a certain culture which has been there. So since I had a exposure, I could see that also, that there the whole battalion or anything is treated like a family. There's no ism there. I mean, those who live in battalions and they have to live away from their families. But overall, there is a lot of differentiation and the way you are treated. Definitely there is, and a lot needs to change.
So is this in China, Kayla, or with the Chinese, is it about classism?
Classism is definitely a big thing. I would say not only in Chinese culture, but generally everywhere, even in Britain, right? It's actually really big. They just don't verbalize it. It exists, because you can tell from a little bit, they give out a little bit in their, say, the stare, like a little bit of this, maybe in their humor. You can actually find a trace of it in their choice of words. And classism is probably one of the biggest things. Even like America is, well, in a sense, even America, I think it's really prevalent. It's really prevalent.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is, so this is the thing, we buy or as real the people that are on a higher, as you say, quote unquote, level, right? And they'll and are, even if we don't like it, if we're not cool with it, the way they treat us, we're aware of. And how do we duplicate that, creating a lower level so that we have somebody to treat like that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or treating people on the same level that way because we've learned it. A lot of times people talk about, in the States, there's lots of violence within the Black community, Black people killing Black people. Yeah, they learn that the lives of Black people don't matter. So they're actually functioning from that sort of that filter, implant, whatever we want to call it, right? So I'm wondering, as you're talking about, Subhra, that is sort of dissipating the ground. It's leveling out the ground, right? It's leveling out the layers. So it's
Right.
about you, whether you are rich, poor, Black, white, yellow, green, blue. And it's so interesting because I don't get why we call a continent or part of the world India, Asia. For me, it's like so different.
Yeah, I do agree, actually. Yeah.
It's like we have in Asia, and nobody calls I don't think, Kazakhstan Asia. Do they?
And it is.
Totally. I was in Kazakhstan in December this
Mm,
year, and I was like, everyone here looks Asian. I'm like, oh
yeah,
yeah. Well, there's like, we're really on the board of Japan, and then the other one in Korea, and
yeah,
it's Asian.
mm,
So
Yeah,
how much are we miscategorizing, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
and so um what my enjoyment with this that we're playing with these lives is to give people a wider view. A, you're not alone, right? B, this exists in different formats all over the world, right?
Absolutely.
And actually, I was talking with a girlfriend of mine. She's American Jewish, but if you're American Jewish, you can pass as something else, right?
Mm, yeah,
You're Indian, you're black, you're Chinese. People sort of know it.
yeah.
Sometimes there was a woman. She was the wife of a Italian drummer, right? And Alma Magreta. She's from Naples. She's Asian.
Oh,
She has no idea about that. I said,
mm,
"Where are you from?" She said, "Naples," in Italian. I was like, "Yeah, but where's your family from?" "From Italy." "You don't have any Asian history in you?" She said, "No." And I was like, "Oh my God, no idea." That,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So how much is that? How much are we a bit of everything?
we are.
Right.
You know? And if we were actually willing to tap into that, we would recognize when yes is a no,
Mm,
when no is a yes. I really want to ask you guys something. This is a little like what question can you ask people? What is the approach to get clarity on whether someone's saying yes but feeling no? That is so funny. Yeah. There's a song called Shaking Free by my sister-in-law Nina Freelon, and she wrote it for me. And it said, I just got this, and it said, feeling yes and feeling no, but saying yes. Feeling yes, saying no. Look at me, I'm shaking free. Wow, thank you, Nina. Yeah, so how can we do that? Because it's actually something that shows up. You feel it, don't you, when someone means no, but they say
yeah,
yes to accommodate you?
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what
And I
um
think
what invite can we be for people to tap into that awareness, Kayla? Yeah.
Exactly. It's like just I think one of the things is also just to not use your mind too much to decipher it, because when we're trying to like rationalize or make things logical and then we take things very literally, we cut out that perception of the energy of what is actually underneath what they're saying, which is the yes or no, right? Whatever that actually is, okay?
And
And
yeah,
go ahead.
totally do. No, these sort of ingrained things that people maybe come out with and say that are not kind, that are rude, that are sexist, racist, social, level, classist, that just might be an auto response that they come out with
Yeah.
also. So how can we also encourage people, because I get we do that, to hear what somebody's really saying. And sometimes it's a kindness, even if it comes across as a judgment.
Yeah, and exactly what you said. It's like, it's a kindness, but that is, well, it's a or maybe it's a judgment that comes across as kindness, either or. It's like it goes both ways, because what you actually, think is kindness might be something that is unkind to the other person. Because like, for example, if you're American, you rather people to be like really, direct with you, tell you whether it's yes or no. But if you're BSing with me, it's like unkindness. But the other person would think, I'm just being polite. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And
So what, yeah.
go ahead, honey. Yeah.
Oh, I said like it's like what if like our call, our interview here, like our conversation we had here, is actually a way to invite people to just speak what is true for them without having to take care of other people's feelings.
Yeah, and what is that can be provocative sometimes. Like,
Yeah,
what if we take the positive and the negative charge off of it, right?
yeah,
And and there's different ways to go about that. Um, and there is one way, interesting point of view. I have this point of view and access to
yeah.
tool, which I think is awesome. That just switches the polarity so much on something that it neutrals it and says, I really don't like what you're saying to me, and I'm really not taking it well. So if you'd like to say it in a different way, please go ahead and do that. And if
Yeah,
not, I'd like to end the conversation now.
yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's like maybe we'll just write that down and send that to the people. Because sometimes we hear things, like you said, through those filters. So what if we didn't have the filter of judgment or compliment, right? What if we just had the
Or the necessity to use these filters, right? Based on, social kudos or based on any sort of cultural appropriateness.
Right. And it's so funny you talked about people receive you with this Western perspective.
Mm.
So is that the more than criticism, it's more like, is that the how people receive you, like a Westerner in the East? Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you perceived as what was it like in Canada, an Easterner in the West, or because your accent is pretty American, I gotta say, pretty
Yeah,
Canadian.
honestly, we
Canadian,
just,
it's a bit Canadian, I gotta say.
yeah, and I'm not saying a.
But you're holding
Sorry,
back with
it's
that.
like Canadians are used to saying A's in every, like, for example, oh, do you hear this A? They like to end that sentence with A.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I know that. Eh?
yeah,
Yeah. And
A.
you, well, you were in the west coast of Canada, right?
Hmm.
So you're not speaking any French? What languages?
I do speak a little bit of French. I was required to learn French for the first 2 years of my in elementary school.
Wow, right. It is the second language in Canada. I don't know how many people know that either. And
Yeah.
you speak English and American a bit. And what else are you speaking?
I speak a little bit of Cantonese. I speak a little bit of Japanese. I
Good.
speak a little bit of Korean, and currently I'm picking up on a little bit of Spanish because I've been in America for a little bit too long. Because on the West Coast, there's just Spanish everywhere.
Everywhere, right. And you've been to Colombia, am I right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you're in Colombia. I heard about that trip that you made, how wonderful it was. And people just are the area, everyone I encounter that's encountered you, I hear wonderful things, but I actually perceive the energy of it, feel the energy of it. So you're bringing light to the world, and thank you for that. And
Same to
I'm
you.
I'm so enjoying. I know you have to go. Please tell us, how can people find you besides going to Hong Kong? Where can they find you? Hong Kong, Canada, America, Beijing, UK, but a
Yeah,
website, a Facebook page. How can they reach out and get some more of your
yeah, you guys
yummy?
can find me on, well, let me see. You can find me on Facebook if you type like Dr. Kayla Leung, Leung. You'll find me, or you can go on my Access website. I'm actually my current personal website is undergoing a revamp, so it will be going online very soon.
Okay, great. So we'll put that also in the replay here. And what's next for you? What's coming
What's
next?
next?
Yeah.
Um, I truly wonder. Okay, I truly wonder. There are just so many changes that are, that I've been going through right now, and um, oh, there's a weird echo. Okay, so I was saying that, yeah, there are so many changes that are going through right now, and well, we're gonna do, well, if it in terms of classes, I'm gonna do. I'm doing a lot more business classes nowadays, and I am open to all possibilities. And even with you, Cass, yeah, like, I wonder what possibilities can we create together next.
Yeah, be really lovely. And you do a lot of business, different kinds of business, right?
Yeah,
Anything you'd like
yeah.
to share with us, or you do business trainings or stuff like that?
Yeah, well, currently, if you're talking about trainings, I do some drug business classes. So
Okay,
I share what I know about business with all of you guys using the Access Consciousness tools. And yeah, I'm actually also like looking at probably doing a little bit of a business coaching program.
awesome,
So it'll be very exciting.
awesome, awesome, cool.
Yeah.
Shubra, do you have any other things? I could just go
It
on.
was just very lovely to hear her very clear, crisp content, whatever
Sure.
the way of expressing. It's lovely to interact with you, Kayla,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
knowing
you
you.
too, Shubra.
Cool.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
grateful for both
Can
of
I add
you.
one thing?
Please.
Yeah, and
We
one
don't
of the
want to
things
leave with you. We just know you have to go, so you can
I
speak.
do, I do. Um, I really admire, well, Cass, you know how much I admire you, okay? I do. And with also with, Shubra, like, you represent Indians for us here. And I really admire how Indians are always so open. Like, their hearts are so warm and so open, like what you said earlier about, maybe there's more warmth, in the Indian culture, which is, I absolutely find it true. And
Right.
one of the things, even during this COVID-19, there was an article that I read earlier in February. There was an Indian couple who gave birth to a pair of twins, and they named them, okay? The boy was named COVID, and the girl, baby girl, was named Corona. And the guy said, we want to name them because we don't want people to carry all the hatred and all the discrimination that's going on and the separation, with the coronavirus. We want to, give them hope in this. And also we want our children to let them know we don't have to live in despair, and we can just live in love and in acceptance. I think that was absolutely beautiful.
Unmute
Mute.
yourself, darling. I just muted you because, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. That attribute, I will definitely, thank you for that acknowledgement that Indians, whatever be the shortcomings, warmth is one thing which definitely comes across. And yeah, I totally get it. And thank you for, saying that. Yeah.
Because every
Thank you.
Indian I meet, like, they welcome us, like, welcome. I mean, I'm sure, Cass, you have the same experience. They're just so welcoming, and they're just so grateful. They just don't take things for granted. They just express their gratitude, like, it just comes from their, like, like, really deep from their heart. And I just think that that's one of the most beautiful gifts that, everyone requires on earth, okay? That sense of gratitude for life.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And what if shortcomings is a lie, right?
It is a lie.
I can't think of what shortcomings are. Like, are you talking about short people? Because that was a song. We used to sing
I,
a song to my mom. Short people got no reasons. We used to sing that to my mom.
okay, something else went through my head. I'm not gonna verbalize it.
Exactly. Well, actually, now we're telepathically communicating here. There's a lot of things that people identify as shortcomings, which are actually gifts that they are not acknowledging they have themselves. Yeah, yeah,
I remember that statement which Cass said. How does the world look at you that you're not willing to see and acknowledge?
yeah. How does the world see you? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And
Please.
also India and China. My trip to China with Kayla was just revolutionary, eye-opening, and helped me with my Seven Steps book, which is now in 20 languages. Actually, I'd like you to look at the Chinese version. I'm not that thrilled with it, or get some. Um, but my second trip also was I was in three different cities. I went from north to south. And first of all, I grew up with Indian and Chinese food, so I love and I love food. Um, but it's a nurturing for my body, both cultures, and beyond just the food. But the food does come from the earth, so that might have a connection. Yeah. And thank you both so much for this. And I get the contribution. Hello. Yes. All right.
So thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, all of you.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Have amazing time and life
Thank
and
you.
future. Love.
All right. You guys too, whatever your time zone is, have the beautiful rest of your day. All right.
Thank you.
You too. Bye, Kayla.
Dr. Leung.
Bye. Thank you.
And teach us one thing. Give us one
Yes.
word, one couple of words in Chinese, in Cantonese.
Cantonese. Okay. So, because we were talking about gratitude. Okay. So, thank you is 多謝.
Say it again. I just
多謝.
多谢
Yes.
多谢. So
Yes.
what is xie?
谢谢 is Mandarin.
Is Mandarin. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
All right. 多謝 everyone.
多谢多谢. Bye,
Bye.
darling. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Wow. Huh? Amazing.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Another different,
Oh,
texture, yumminess.
yumminess. Wonderful. And this is what a contribution these encounters are. So thank you everyone who's listening, who has listened, and really what global perspective can we have and perspective on the world, on who we are. Yeah, awesome. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.